So, have you tried every tool, tip, and strategy that you have found to improve your business? Or maybe it's about finding a soulmate. Still looking for happiness or freedom? You are not alone. And I'm here today to talk about beliefs and the role that they play and what they are and all of that kind of stuff. So, this is part one in a series. Welcome. My name is Joe, and I'm a professional intuitive. So, I notice that I am in the same place in so many areas of life that I have been for years. How is it that something I love to do leads to making money, which is definitely something I need more of, and I know that I'm good at, but how can it be so hard to make it all work out? How can it be so difficult to figure out? I love what I do and I know I'm good at it. Why is my business in the same rut and mud bog that it has been for years? So, where in your life do you find yourself in the mud? Perhaps you recognize thoughts like, maybe I'm just not cut out to be an entrepreneur. Maybe I should finally just accept defeat and give up. Maybe I should get a regular job, a job, and let go of my dreams. Well, that's where I have found myself lately. And I am sure that many of you can relate. So, where in your life are you ready to throw in the towel? Let dreams die and decide on something that is less fulfilling. Is it in your romantic life? Perhaps it's about around family relationships, money, wellness. I'm sure that we all, as humans, have at least one area of life where we feel defeated in or super stuck. So I've been circling around these thoughts for quite some time. And as I've been doing my meditations and just general thinking, um, what came up was the idea of limiting beliefs. And this is not a new topic. But really kind of searching for the role that they play in our lives. And to that end, I have read, listened to, and watched so much about beliefs that I feel like I am spun in circle and tied in knots. And finally, because sometimes it takes me a minute, even though I do this for a living, I chose to sit down on my deck with no distractions and I asked my spirit team for help because sometimes I forget that they are there and can help with every situation. So, strangely enough, what happened is that in the downloads that I got or the ahas that came through was all the stuff that I've read or that I've watched. All of that stuff came forward. Now, not all of it and not in the same order I originally saw it or read it, but more of a compilation of information that makes sense to me now. So it was kind of like I can see where I needed to gather all the information, and then my team pick and chose what would be pertinent or what would be most helpful for me and picked out those pieces from all of the massive information that was available through what I had read and listened to and all that kind of stuff. So none of what I'm going to go over in this video and the subsequent ones is new or original or earth-shattering. So we're just going to get that out of the way right away. This is not new information. And to be honest, almost no information is new information. It's all out there in one form or another. It's just a matter of putting it into a format that makes most sense for me. And as my guides have told me over and over and over again, all roads lead to Oz. That's why there's so many roads, because there's so many people. So listen away. I hope you find this helpful. And if you do, by all means, as I always say, try it on. If it fits, keep it. If it doesn't, throw it out. So, so what has come through? So now I received the invitation from my guides, and now I am asked to share, partly in order to solidify it for myself, because what we teach, we learn at a deeper level, or what we share and have conversations about, we get at a much deeper level for ourselves. So in order to solidify it for myself, I've been invited to do videos. The other thing is for everybody else. So if you find this helpful, and the more people that have an insight or an aha or reconnect to their guides so that they can get the clear path for themselves, that's what I'm all about. That's my passion. So they have asked me, here we're going to start with the basics. So, excuse me. Okay, so not earth shattering. And if you're here, you definitely have heard this before, but the foundation of everything, like not just belief systems, but everything, is energy. And so you know this at a thinking level at least. There's energy that we see, like our physicalness. So there's like a microphone, there is my glasses, my clothes, our room, all that stuff. So there's the physical, the energy of what we see. Then there is the energy of what we sense. So that's kind of like, you walk into a room and you could feel the tension. We're sensing that. Sometimes you can get a knowing, or so it's all this stuff that is in our field, but we don't have the sensory perceptions in order to see it. So people who've passed over, our angels, our spirit guides, there is just like a whole nother galaxy of stuff that is all around us that we're swimming in. We as humans just don't have the interpreters to see it or feel it, but we can sense it. So there's that kind of energy. And then there's the energy that is connected to our intuition. So it is energy that we do sense, but maybe not in a traditional form. So it's when you get goosebumps, when the hairs raise on the back of your neck, when you feel a rush of cold. So it's still the energy that we don't perceive so much, but it's that in between. So there's the physicalness of our energy. We totally sense that. Then there's the part that we have no real connection with. We don't sense it at all, but it is there. And then there's the middle ground where we can't see it, but we can sense it. Does that make sense? Okay. Anyway, that's what I've been told. There's three areas of energy that we're going to be dealing with. And when we are connected to that energy of all that is, that connects everything, then we are connected to our higher selves, to ahas, to inspiration, our spirit team, and that energy will always inspire to assist us in the 3D world of energy that we see and touch and experience as our humanness. So that group of energy is always on our side. So this is a key understanding that there are these different kinds of energy out in the galaxy, in the world, in the universe. Next, number 2 is part of the foundations is the understanding that the part of being human is to forget everything we know, and each lifetime start from scratch. And for this new beginning, each time we come through, our bodies have been designed to assist us. Because we're going to forget everything, we need some sort of a system in our human body that's going to help us survive, help us thrive, help us to remember, actually. So our human brain is constructed to gain as much information as possible when we're young to ensure the best possibility for survival. And that is how we're wired. So this isn't a new concept. You hear it many places, many times, that between the age of newborn to about 7 or 8, We are in this brainwave state of theta where we just absorb everything. So it's kind of like in a meditative state, you simply absorb. And what happens is our brains absorb everything and then assign a meaning to each event. So this saves time in the future because it allows our brains to search our data banks and react to a situation that feels similar in the same manner as we have in the past. So if your first experience with a dog was wonderful and it was a playful puppy and you loved it and it, licked your face and you thought that was great, then you're probably going to like dogs. Because every time you meet a dog, your memory bank your brain is going to search your memory bank and go, oh, dog. Yes. Okay. We liked dog. Yeah. We know how to do this. Now, if, however, your first experience with a dog was not so pleasant, perhaps a dog was aggressive or big and you were tiny and you didn't like it, then it's going to, when you search your data banks, next time you see a dog, it's going to be like, oh, red flag, danger, and you probably won't like dogs. Or it's, so that's kind of the simplified version of it. So every time you have an experience, you attach a meaning to it so that then it saves time in the processing of what to do in the next incident that feels familiar to that. So this is the key, is that it doesn't have to be the same kind of dog. It's not the same situation because you're never going to have exactly the same situation twice, right? So it's anything that feels familiar. There are enough bits of information that match or are close to a situation that your brain will tell you how to react. Okay, now, and another thing to remember with this is that this is your 5-year-old assigning a meaning. It is not an adult assigning a meaning with a broader perspective. This is your child self, your 3-year-old, your 2-year-old, your 6-year-old, your 7-year-old, who is assigning a meaning that you are now going to keep for life to all these incidences. And it's from a child's perspective. So they are simple. They are short, to the point meanings. They're not complex. They're not nuanced. This is how, whatever your belief is, it's going to be based around what your 5-year-old thought about it. So that's something to keep in mind as we go forward. So, and a thought that you keep thinking, and we're going to go dive into this more, but a thought you keep thinking then becomes a belief. So every time your brain searches the data bank and finds the same thing, it adds that to that file. So you've met a dog 4 times, then there's 4 documents in that file. The more as you grow older, that file, interaction with dog gets thicker and thicker because it keeps going back there, but it keeps going back to that file about dog. I hope this makes sense. Okay, so buckle up. The next one's a good one. The universe, now, and we'll just go ahead because this is the information I got. This is the information I'm sharing. So buckle up. The universe is always, yes, always on our side. The universe is created of love. There is only love or the resistance to it, nothing else. Now, whatever is coming up in your, whatever is popping up right now, it could be annoyance. It could be, oh, I've heard this before. Whatever it is, just allow that, notice it. Remember, this is about trying stuff on. So just allow whatever reaction you have to come up and we will continue. So think about it for a minute. Love appears in many forms. So it could be excitement, joy, happiness, connection, compassion, gratitude. There are many expressions of it. So the resistance to love also comes in many forms. And anger, jealousy, anxiety, fear, doubt, lots and lots of ways that it shows up. Now, can you see where the lack of love or the resistance to love results in those expressions? So if you were, say you were having an argument with a sibling, whatever your fear is where there's a resistance to love. Now, because there is a way to be, this is just coming in, because there's a way to be in a situation, even if it's one that you don't prefer, in a way that still embodies love. So you can stick to your boundaries and still be in love. You can not agree with somebody and still be in a position of love. It's hard. I don't know how to explain it exactly, but it's just this feeling that's washing over me. So that's what they wanted me to share. Okay. So just notice what comes up for you, because this is a triggering kind of one for lots of people, or something, it just brings stuff up. So next is a commonly known one. We all have free will and the universe cannot impede upon it. So even when it feels like you don't have a choice, we do. Our angels, guides, and other entities cannot interfere with our free will. Now, in the physicalness of our human world, you can be offered options where you don't like any of them, but that doesn't mean that you don't have free will. You can choose one of the options, or you can choose not to choose one of the options. When people say, I had no choice, it means they didn't like the options. And when we don't like the options, and this we're going to talk about more later, of course, but when we don't like the options, we immediately go into a place of disconnect or resistance to love, which disconnects us from our higher self, from intuition, from our team, and we don't have access to all the goodies and the tools that are available. So that is something to consider. That is something to kind of put down and remember. Remember, this is the foundation. So it's kind of like this information will make changing our beliefs easier. If we can understand some of the foundational pieces and we can just trust them out of faith for a little bit, then that's what they're asking us to do, is to try them on. Okay. So the body, oh yes. So the body has an amazing guidance system built in, our feelings. Now, as adults, we tend to overthink and overcomplicate it. And however, basically, when we feel bad, we're disconnected. And when we are feeling good, we're connected to our higher self. And as I've demonstrated before, I use this often. So if this is our higher self and this is our humanness, when we feel good, we're connected. We have access to inspiration, ahas, motivation, out of the box thinking, all kinds of possibilities are available here. The minute we are disconnected and we feel bad, that's our indication that we're over here. This is our guidance system at work. This is where we have no access to any of that. Just like when I said that when we are given choices that we don't like, we're over here. If, however, we can return, so we're in line with love. This is resistance to love. That's all it is. Bottom line. And the more we do something, sorry, I have notes because this is a long thing. So, and the body has many other technologies. So it's not just our feelings that guide us, it's all kinds of stuff. So it's our bodies are amazing, like totally amazing machines. So our brain, which comes into play a lot for beliefs, is an amazing computer. The more we do something, the more hardwired it becomes. And neurons, which are tiny little things in our brain, transmit information between each other through chemical and electrical signals via synapses. So there's like these little connectors in our brain. This one fires, and then this it sends information over here through a little, channel. And now they fire together and wire together. So the more information, dog good, those wire together, then the stronger they become. They become like a rut in the road where it's hard to, if you're driving in snow or something that's really deep, so you follow the tracks that are in front of you because that's the easiest way through. Same idea. So it's kind of like it gets difficult when you have to veer off into your driveway or something because you have to go over the bumps out of the rut. So all of our memories, all of our thinking wires together and fires together. Now let's take a look at the world around us. So that's kind of a look for here. Now outside, there are millions of bits of information happening around us every single minute. And remember, there are 3 different kinds of energy that are happening around us to produce these millions of bits of information. So our brain cannot possibly consciously experience everything that is happening. So it filters out 90 to 95% of everything that is happening around us. So how does it choose what to keep and what to get rid of? It looks for similar experiences to those that you're familiar with. So all those choice or decisions you made as a child, all those beliefs that are now implanted, it looks for things that are familiar to let in. That's why when you buy a new car, or you're going to look at buying a new car and you can't decide yet, and you're like, oh, I'd really like a blue SUV or a black truck. Well, all of a sudden they appear everywhere. You're like, man, I didn't know there were so many of them. Well, because before it wasn't on your radar. It wasn't familiar. It wasn't important. That was the weeded out information. It had nothing to do with you. But now that you suddenly are interested, you've piqued your interest about blue SUVs, you see them everywhere because now it's letting that into the filter. So our beliefs are the same way. If it's not familiar, it weeds it out and you don't experience it at all. So if you have a belief, for example, money is really hard to make. That's a really common one. Then you will, maybe in childhood, your parents worked really hard and they came home and they were tired and, didn't always have time to play or to do fun stuff with you or something, or they had to work weekends maybe, or whatever. Your information was money obviously is hard to make because they're tired and they don't have very much time and they're gone a lot and all this stuff. So your brain is going to filter out anything that does not fit that parameter. It's filtering out anything where money is easy, money flows simply. Oh, it's so like I can have fun and make money. All of that stuff is filtered out. So you don't even see it, experience it, notice the opportunities for it because it's not familiar. So it's only keeping, the stuff that matches your belief system. Now we're stuck in the circle of our belief system. So what happens is we have a belief, which creates an emotion. So we have a feeling about it. Then our emotions create our thoughts. So we have a thought about how we feel. Then we take action according to how our thoughts are, like what our thought is. And then we have results based on our actions, which confirm the beliefs we had in the first place. So now we're stuck in this like cycle of the mud is the best way I can explain it. So now the other side, the flip side of the coin is that if you have an empowering belief, perhaps when you were young, you were always told that you were really smart. Oh, you're so smart. You get learning is so easy for you. Oh my gosh, like you always get, you just pick things up so easily. Well, then that is the reaffirmed belief. So if your belief is, I'm really smart and learning comes easily to me, then we have this wonderful emotion about it. Like, oh, yeah, like I love learning. This is fantastic. And your thoughts about it match your emotions. And then you take action like, oh, you know what? I would love to take that class, or I would love to go for my PhD, or you know what? I'm going to apply for that job in that, the high up corporate position because I know that I'd be great at it because you have to learn a bunch of stuff. Then you're going to get results that line up and reaffirm your belief. So it works in our favor when it works in our favor. It's not a system that's broken. It's simply a system that doesn't allow for our growth as an adult. Oh, that's a good way to put it. Yeah. Yes. Yeah. It's not a broken system. It's simply reaffirming the beliefs that were created by your 3-year-old. Okay. So now you can see how our results reaffirm the original belief, which, yeah, we're stuck in the rut again and in the mud. So that's, in a nutshell, or not, what a belief is and where it came from and how it affects our daily life. So you can see when we start to really look for beliefs, we can start to see patterns. Now, in the next video, I'm going to address what we do once we find, like, how to pinpoint your limited beliefs. We're going to be really working on limited beliefs at first, and then we're going to be moving to empowering beliefs. But in the next video, we're going to talk all about how to pinpoint and find, because for me, this was the hardest part. Like literally, I have been reading about limiting beliefs for years and years and years. And what always came up was, well, I don't know what mine are. Like it was just never easy to kind of nail them down. And then there was no way to shift them if I couldn't nail down what it was in the first place. And I have tried a lot of stuff. So, yes. So, in the next video, how the heck do we recognize our beliefs and what do we do with them once we've got them? Once they're in the light of day, then what do I do? And so thank you for joining me, and I will see you in the next video in this series all about beliefs led by my spirit team. Thanks, guys. I hope you enjoyed. Be sure to click the subscribe button and click on the next video when it's up.